I was sick and tired of being just your average, ordinary girl. There was nothing about me that stood out, and it really made my time at high school drag by. I felt like the only way to make my life more exciting was to become popular. And pretty soon, I was obsessed with this idea. I decided the quickest way to gain popularity would be through Andrew, the most popular boy in school. I had to make him my boyfriend, and I knew exactly how to do it. It was simple, really. Nothing that a little bit of money couldn't sort out. I sent him a DM on Instagram and said not only would I pay him to date me, I'd also do his homework. Now, Andrew might be a hottie, but he's really dumb. So someone offering to do his homework for him is like a golden ticket to freedom. The deal was officially sealed. At first, nobody seemed to even notice that I was hanging off Andrew's arm, but that didn't last long. Soon, I started gaining tons of followers on social media, and suddenly every girl in school wanted to be my best friend. And not just the girls. Guys were checking me out too. It was unbelievable. For the first time in my life, people were noticing me, and I thought my life was finally about to change for the better. But that's not how life works, is it? The next day, there were posters up all over school. As I walked in, the corridor went silent and everyone started whispering about me paying Andrew to date me. I ran to the bathroom trying to ignore all the laughter around me. And then I sent Andrew a text asking why he told everyone about us. He said he swore it wasn't him, and that it's as humiliating for him as it is for me. Then he asked if I'd done his math homework, and I wanted to scream. If I'd known being popular would have been like this, I'd never have even tried in the first place. The only person I'd told about all this was my best friend Jackie, who I'd been friends with all along. As soon as I saw her, she ran up to me all upset and sad about what was happening and all the rumors that were spreading around. She told me that everything would be okay, and that Andrew was probably lying and had done this to get more cash out of me. That day was the worst day ever. On the one hand, I didn't want anyone to notice me anymore. But on the other hand, I didn't want to just go back to being Victoria, the loser with no friends again. But what if I did something to distract everyone and make everyone forget about all these stupid rumors? In the last class that day, I overheard two girls talking about how the only way to get into college these days is if you have done stuff like volunteering. As soon as school was over, I made my way to the teacher's staff room and presented them with my grand idea. I said my mom's friend works in the special needs school across town, and they're often looking for volunteers. And wouldn't it be good if our senior class went once a week to help out and help while we can? The next day, our school held a special assembly to share my idea, and my mom's friend was there to represent the special needs school. She explained to the students everything they needed to know about the school. Everyone seemed pretty excited about it, probably because it meant they got to skip math class each week. But at least I wasn't the center of attention anymore. I was still being mocked, but maybe things would get better once we started volunteering. The next day was our first volunteering day, and there were buses waiting to take us there. I sat with Jackie, and we agreed we'd pair up together, but the teacher in charge said she will choose partners for us. And I wanted to scream when Jackie got Andrew. But then my turn came, and the teacher apologized and said there was an odd number of people, so I'd be volunteering alone. Jackie and Andrew walked off to meet the girl they'd be helping. I couldn't believe that Jackie didn't say anything about it and that she acted like it's okay being paired up with my boyfriend. I felt so alone and angry. Anyway, I'd been assigned to help some boy. I walked into the room where this kid was supposed to be, and I could see only his back as he was sitting and playing piano. He looked like he was around my age. He was really good. He didn't see me walk in, so I said, "Hello, I'm your friend." He didn't turn around and didn't even look at me. So I got annoyed and walked towards him and put my hand on his shoulder and said, "Hey, are you deaf? I'm speaking to you." Then he looked at me and started to say sorry with his mouth, but his voice was super weird and very quiet. Then it hit me. He really was deaf? And then he stood up and started making movements with his hands. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. My God, I felt terrible. I attempted a smile and said, "Sorry, I didn't mean that. I had no idea you're deaf." He showed me with his hands to slow down and grabbed his notebook and pen and wrote on it, "I'm Alec. I'm sorry I can't hear you, but I can read your lips. But please slow down so I can keep up." He was actually so sweet, and I found myself staring at him a lot. I couldn't understand him very clearly, but it was enough to get by on, and I swear he had the nicest smile I'd ever seen. We began talking, and when we couldn't understand each other, we would use his notebook. So it actually wasn't even a problem that he was deaf. Time flew, and soon it was time to go back to school. And to be honest, I didn't really want to leave. We'd had such a nice time. And I was kind of glad I got to hang out with Alec alone. As I was leaving, I waved to him, and then he hugged me from behind. I was so surprised. Then he quietly said, "Please promise me you'll come back soon." I looked back at him and said, "Don't you worry. I'll be back." And then I walked out. On the way home, I couldn't stop thinking about Alec. So I decided to Google the sign language that he was using, and it was actually pretty interesting. I ended up staying up all night learning the alphabet and introductions, and weirdly, it made me feel so happy. Our school visits would only be once a week, so the rest of the week passed with me studying sign language. I got so caught up in it that I barely even spoke to Jackie or Andrew all week. I couldn't wait until the following week. Alec looked excited to see me, and I got actual butterflies in my stomach when I saw him. While I was there, Andrew texted me asking if I'd done his assignment. I mean, he's so rude. Why wouldn't he just go ask Jackie to help him with his stupid homework? So I just ignored him. Alec asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I found myself saying Andrew was a no one to me. And when he smiled, my heart started racing. Pretty soon, I was seeing Alec twice a week. And then I enrolled in a sign language course on Saturdays. I mean, I wanted to impress him, and now that I will see him twice a week, I want to understand him more. The months flew by, and I was becoming pretty good at sign language. Both Jackie and Andrew started talking to me less and less, but I didn't care. I only cared about Alec. One day, he showed me how to say kiss in sign language, and instead of copying him, I reached out and kissed him. We'd stayed late at school that day, and everyone else had gone home. And one thing led to another. Afterwards, he acted really quiet, and I wondered if I'd done something wrong. The next few times we hung out were really awkward, and I just wanted to make things better. I couldn't lose Alec. Then one Saturday the following month, he asked if we could meet before my class. We met in the park, and I wanted to tell him how much I liked him. I'd actually learned how to say "I love you" and was about to tell him when he wrote down in his notebook, "I can't do this anymore. I'll just hurt you." Then he got up and left, and I sat there crying. I didn't understand. Had we moved too fast? I'd learned sign language for nothing. I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to go home as my mom would just ask questions. So I walked to Jackie's house and knocked on the door. She answered, and her face went pale when she saw me. Hi, what do you want?" she said, and then I noticed the shirt she was wearing. It was Andrew's shirt. I didn't even reply to her. I just pushed past her and went through to her room. I knew what I was going to find, and sure enough, there he was sitting on her bed. Andrew. Even though I was never really into Andrew in the first place, I felt so angry. Had he and Jackie been together this whole time? Jackie came running in and said, "Why do you care anyway? We all know you're dating that deaf guy." I reached into my pocket and grabbed my keys and ran at Andrew. I felt so angry about everything. I just wanted to threaten him, but I tripped and the key went right into his eye. He screamed so loudly and suddenly there was blood running down his cheek. Jackie was freaking out and called the ambulance. I felt like I'd messed everything up. Alec didn't want to see me anymore. Andrew and Jackie were together and I'd hurt Andrew and he could be blind now for all I know. All of this just to be popular? I decided to go and find somewhere quiet to sit and wait, and then I saw someone familiar. It was Alec. I couldn't believe it. What was he doing here? I'd just seen him an hour ago, and now he was at the hospital? I started crying and ran to him and asked what had happened. I mean, I just saw him. How is it possible? Alec told me using his hand signs. "I'm sorry you have to see me like this, but I'm actually sick and I don't have much time left. Victoria, I'm dying." I would have thought the day everyone found out I'd paid Andrew to date me was the worst day of my life. But this day just topped that. Alec passed away from a rare genetic disease. Andrew was in the hospital for a while and had to undergo surgery, and something else happened too. I found out I was pregnant with Alec's baby. Now I don't know what to do. The father of my baby is dead. Andrew wants to press charges. I could end up in jail. Right now, everything is uncertain. I want to keep this baby, but I'm scared that I'll be sent to jail for hurting Andrew. And I don't want my baby to be raised in prison without a father. What if I tell Andrew that this baby is his? Unfortunately, there's a high chance my baby will be deaf. So I'm scared that I won't be able to say that Andrew is the father.